So according to the Labor Department, the CPI or Consumer Price Index has jumped 7% in the last 12 months. This is a 39-year high. In this video, I'm going to be talking about what is a good thing to invest my money in. Hey, welcome back. In this episode, I'm going to talk about several points. I'm going to talk about, one of the best hedges against inflation, one of the best things you can do to outrun inflation. And then I'm going to talk about an investment that I made that gave me the best return on my investment. And then stick around until the end. I'm going to show you several places you too can invest your money. Okay, so let's get right into it. I'm talking about one of the best investments possible to outrun inflation, and you probably have guessed it if you know anything about this channel, and that is real estate. I've got a graph that I'm going to show you. According to advisors.com, home price appreciation is one of the only things that actually kind of steadily grows with inflation. So as inflation goes up, as our dollars are worth less and less, according to the CPI or Consumer Price Index, as our dollars are worth less and less, our houses are worth more and more. So there's a reason for that. The houses are going up with it. So that's one way to hedge against inflation, by buying your own house and living in that. That's an investment that you're actually putting money into. Some people would actually disagree with that, like Robert Kiyosaki. If money is not coming into your pocket, it's actually a liability if money's going out of your pocket. If money's coming into your pocket, it's an asset, but still, which would be better? Spending money every single month on rent, because that money's never going to come back to you, or spending money every single month on your mortgage to where your house might appreciate, so one day you can sell it for a profit. That money could come back to you. You're also paying your mortgage down every single month, so you're actually building more and more equity, not just appreciation. So that's through mortgage pay down. And then the IRS gives us several tax benefits too of owning real estate. And then if you want to take it even further, to invest your money even further, that's when you want to look into actually buying real estate. Real estate, because it's appreciating. And then also a graph that I'm not showing here is rents. Rents have been steadily increasing since 1977. As the home prices go up and the home prices go down and inflation consistently trickles up, there's one thing that's causing, and that's causing your rents to go up. So if you buy a house on a 30-year mortgage, that mortgage is locked in for the next 30 years if you get a fixed rate mortgage. So that means your interest rate's never going to go up. So your payment is always going to stay the same, barring against any, crazy increases in your insurance or your taxes, but taxes are only able to go up a certain percent or sometimes 0.5% a year as well. There's some states that completely protect against that. So all I'm saying is your mortgage payment is going to always stay the same pretty much for the next 30 years, but that rent that you can charge is always going to increase as the home value increases, as the mortgage balance pays down, and as you get depreciation and tax incentives, tax reasons to buy a house, because the IRS wants us to provide housing for others. They give us many benefits in the IRS tax code, and they really give us a lot of favorable ways to really decrease the amount of taxes you pay from your paycheck each month if you're a W-2 employee. All right, so let's talk more about rentals. I talked to you about owning your own house, and then I talked to you about rentals. You don't have to go out and get crazy about buying a crazy amount of rentals each year. If you just focused on adding one rental to your portfolio every single year in the next 30 years, if you did this, you would be able to retire a very, very wealthy person. Your monthly expenses would be taken care of. You'd have tons of appreciation in these houses. You would probably, more than likely, I would bet money on this, be an absolute multimillionaire, because you would have appreciation, you would have depreciation, saving you money and taxes. You might be wondering, what does depreciation mean? Basically, you can depreciate the house every single year because it goes down in, I don't want to say value, but the building degrades. Over 27 and a half years, you can depreciate a home, a property, a rental, and use that money to take it off your taxes. Now, I'm no CPA or tax consultant. You definitely want to ask your CPA all about this, but most of the time, here's what I found about CPAs. They don't just come out and tell you this. You have to actually ask for this information. You have to bring them the information and show them this information so they can know what you're talking about, so you can take that money off your tax taxes. If you're a W-2 salary person, you can save a tremendous amount of money by just owning one rental property. Just one rental property will help you every single month on the amount of taxes you pay to the IRS. So rental properties, what do I suggest when buying a rental property? I like to get a rental property that at least pays for itself at a bare minimum, at least pays for itself, because you want your tenant paying that mortgage each month. I really prefer to have at least 2 or 3, sometimes $400 a month over that payment, because you got to think about things like, repairs. Eventually that house is going to need a new roof or a new septic system, and it's going to need painted, all these things. So you're not really making like a bunch of money on the cash flow, but you're really making money through the long term of owning rental properties. All right, next I told you I was going to talk about one of the best investments that gave me the best return on investments, and that is my favorite, land. This is the holy grail of passive income, the holy grail of investments, and most people are not even doing this. They're driving by land every single day and they're not even looking twice at it because there's no homes on it. There's no houses to rent out. There's no houses to flip. There's no apartment complexes or storage units to rent out. I love land because 1, it's simple. 2, it gives me financial freedom. 3, gives me time freedom because every single month I receive payments on this land that I buy. And then also it gives me geography freedom. And then finally, it is super simple. There's no roofs to repair, there's no foundations to fix, and there's no backups of the toilet late at night. I'm not receiving calls from my buyers saying, hey, we have a plumbing issue. Why land? Why land for me? So in 2017, actually early 2017, probably late 2016, I was searching for answers. I was searching for better ways to improve my real estate business so I could get out of the military. We had just had our first baby and I wanted to be home a lot more. I was in the military 8.5 years and I was always gone, always away, always deployed, always training. And that is not a healthy marriage. That is not a healthy environment. For the first 2 years of my son's life, I maybe got to see him about 6 months of those times. So I wanted to change. I had a huge why. My why was I wanted to be home more often, to see my wife, to have a great marriage, and then also to see my baby every single night and put him to bed. So that was my why. I wanted to be home. So what did I do to get that? I started searching for answers. I started building my real estate business, and I heard about a guy that was just doing powerful things with land. He was buying land at crazy discounts and turning around and selling this stuff overnight and doubling his money. Well, I had a list called the tax delinquent list that I got directly from the county treasurer's office. So I called the county treasurer's office. I said, I want a tax delinquent list. They thought I wanted to buy tax liens. I did not want that. I wanted a list so I can get in touch with landowners that were behind on their taxes and not paying their taxes, because that showed me they might be a little motivated to get rid of that land. Well, I finally got it, and then I mailed this list, about 687 postcards, and my phone rang like crazy. And guys, I'll give you that exact postcard as a free gift today. But my phone rang like crazy, and I ended up doing 2 deals off that first mailing. That first person that called me and said, hey, the land's yours. I'll sell it to you for $285. Well, long story short, I ended up buying that land and selling it the very next day for $5,000. And then that second deal I told you that I did, I bought that land for $500 and I sold it on Craigslist pretty much the next day. I think it was like 2 days later on a Sunday for $500 down and $400 a month. This changed my paradigm, that I was just extremely, this has got to be too good to be true. There's no way I can keep doing this. And that piece of land that I got $500 down on, I actually paid only $500 for that land. So my investment was out of that land with that down payment. I had never seen that before on rentals. Like, I had to go out and take out a mortgage of $128,000 to buy a rental. So if you're interested in more things like this, head on over to thelandsharks.com. That's thelandsharks.com. Schedule a call. Me and my team would be honored to talk to you more about it. And also subscribe to this channel. Subscribe to this channel. Make sure you're looking at what I'm doing. I'm talking about this 5 days a week if you want to learn more about land and one of the best things you can do to put your money in to avoid inflation.